now. So let me
Okay.
explain you what is RPA is. So RPA, I know you guys heard about this particular term lot of nowadays. Okay, so RPM
Hmm.
is robotic process automation. So what is robotics? What is a robot? I don't have to explain, you guys already know. So let's suppose
Yeah.
you are going to a shopping mall, you go to the front door and the door open automatically. So how this can be done? So there is a sensor there which detect a person in a particular place, and based on that it's process the next step. There is a processor there which like open the door, right? So this is something robotic. So it is detecting it and opening the door automatically. So even if you see, I'm sure you guys saw that thing. I'm not sure if you go to a Tata Steel plant or any steel plant, you will see lot of like even a car manufacturing plant. See, you'll see lot of robotic hands there. Those are painting the cars and all. Okay,
Hmm.
so those are basically robots, right? But what are the application of robots in our industry in IT? We don't have any physical thing there. All are online, right? Or in computer only, right? Now let's imagine a thing. So everyone use Amazon, right? So you call. So let's see, you want to place one order. You place one order. What happens? I'm not sure you guys faced it or not. I faced it. So
Hmm.
sometimes money got deducted from my card, but what happens? The order went to pending state. It didn't got submitted. Okay, so what is the next step? What you'll do? You'll call customer care. Let's see, boss. This is my order number, and my money got deducted, but order didn't place. So what that customer care guy will do? He'll log a ticket. He'll log a ticket and say we'll let you know within 24 hours. So what is the next step then? As soon as that person logged the ticket, it went to the production support team. Now someone from the production support team open that ticket and work on that ticket. Now what are the steps? Now if I just I'm sharing my screen, if you see my screen, so what
Hmm.
a production support guy will do?
They will check.
Sorry guys, I somehow got disconnected. Now am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. So you guys heard about the Amazon problem, right? Correctly? Or I
Hmm.
disconnected before that? Okay. Okay. So as we're discussing, like so what a production guy will do, production support guy will do. So that guy will log in into the order management system and search for the customer first. After that, what he will do, he'll check the customer is valid or not, and he will log in into the customer table and see what is the customer status, if there is a flag or not. Okay, what is the next step? He will log in into the order table and check what is the order status. Next, what is the next step? He will check the in the payment table if the money credited in the account or not. And what is the last step? That person will run a SQL query to update the status to pending to completed or submitted. Okay, so now imagine in Amazon there are like a thousands after thousand this kind of issues coming every day. So Amazon
Hmm.
need to put around like 20-30 people to do this work like time again. Like every day one person who can do like 300 orders, they're manually just changing it, right? So
Yeah.
so yes, so every company this is a small example. There are many examples. For a bank, let's suppose you online apply for a loan. So what happens in bank? Someone, a bank employee will get your request, open first, see what is the credit code of this particular customer, and then he will like either like reject it or accept it, right? Now say for a Citibank get 1,000 like 10,000 requests every day. So they need to have multiple employees, like 100 of employees, to just doing this manual work every day, right? So what if this work can be automated, right? What if I create a robot? What the robot will himself log in into this order management system, check the data, log in into that table, check what is the customer status, see if the payment is made or not, and then after that it will automatically also run a SQL query to make the order status. After that, it itself send a mail to the customer. Okay, your ticket has been completed. Now your order is submitted. Now, if we
Hmm.
if we can do that, how much money we can save? This many employees, we don't need this many of employees. We don't need any of them, right? So this many salaries we can, I mean, whatever the salaries paid for these employees, we can save, right? So it's a huge benefit for any organization, like bank, any bank, anywhere, like in healthcare, even if you go, or if you go to telecom, every place there is manual work. If you are going to buying a Airtel SIM, you have to fill a form. There's someone need to update that form into a system. They certainly have a system, right? So what if it automatically scan and get the data and fill in the system? It would be much easier, right? And we don't need people to just doing the manual work every day. So this is the reason why RPA is actually started, to automate the back office work. Okay, to automate the repetitive work. And what is the advantage? I have huge advantage. I don't have to pay anything to the robot. Robot works 24/7 and a person works 9 hours. Huge advantage. Okay, and also it's very beneficial. Like maybe first time when you are like implementing a robot, it will be very costly, right? You have to pay the license, you have to bring out the developers and develop it, it will be hugely cost. Okay, but after what happens after some time, when the things are stable, you don't have to pay any salary to these people, sorry, these robots. You don't have to pay anything. They will every time they will just go on. Okay, so this is what a RPA is, to automate a manual process. If I just in our term, what will say, what is RPA is create a robot or a bot or a piece of code to automate a manual process. That's what RPA is. I hope it is clear. Now, if it is clear, I have one example. I want to give one example. Now, you guys tell me where we should use RPA. So there are 3 examples I'll give. First one, second one, and third one. So first example will be like create 10,000 order in Amazon with different product. Second example will be same, create 10,000 order. Instead of Amazon, we'll use Flipkart this time. Flipkart with different product. And third one will be, so third one is like that, like there is a sales guy in a sales department of a company. So every day morning he got sales data from 300 store, right? There is a salesperson. Okay, he got data from 300 store, and what he does, he just copy the data into a Excel file and then send a mail to his manager. Okay, so every day for doing that guy need 1 hour time. So let's say 1 hour time every day that guy need. Okay. Now you guys give me tell me out of the 3 example, for which one will use RPA?
Just a second, Venkat. Sarnam, can you please mute yourself for better audio purpose? We're getting disturbance from back end. So when you have queries, please unmute yourself and you can ask the question, okay? Sarnam, you are there, right? Hello?
I think you can mute her from your end as well. I'm not sure. Okay, so out of, just tell me out of these 3 example, which one you guys will implement RPA? I just explained you what is the RPA and what is the benefit. I'll tell you, but I just want to know from you guys, either from Rajesh or Sapnam.
Yes.
So so within these 3 example, which one we should use RPA?
All are similar, or means same things. You give me the example of 3 types. Correct.
So are you saying that all the 3 we can use RPA?
Yes.
No. So that's the difference. That's the reason I just giving this example. That's not the case. See, for the first one, we are placing thousands of order, but who placed the order? It's the customer, not any Amazon employee. Who placed 10,000 order in Flipkart? It's the user, not the like Amazon Flipkart employees, right? So I like, there is no point to do that. Like, it's like placing order in my own store. We don't want to do that, right? But here in the number 3, we have a huge advantage, right? So there is one person who every day morning spend 1 hour time. So in a year, 365 hour time, he spent on this, just copying the data in Excel sheet, and like 300, he got 300 Excel sheet, he copy into a same Excel sheet and then send a mail. And every day he's spending 1 hour. It will take more than 1 hour. Let's say 2 hour time every day he's spending. So if we can automate this process, per day there will be 2 hours save, right? This person can do another work for this 2 hour. So here is the place where we use RPA. Okay. So because it is our saving we are getting, right?
Right.
And yes, so this is the difference between a automation testing and a robotic process automation. You should be very clear. This question will be asked sometime. They will give very puzzling question. Make sure every example, whatever you are selecting, must have a company-wise benefit, not as a customer-wise benefit.
Okay.
That company should benefit something, like either hour saving or anything, right? Or it is not effective process. Let's say instead of 300 there is a 3000. Then what will do? A person cannot do it in 9 hours, right? So those need to be effective as well. Okay, so now this is what RPA is. Now coming to the other tools. So there are a couple of tools are there in the market. Okay, so first one is Blue Prism, second one is Automation Anywhere, next one is UiPath, then WorkFusion, and Tosca is also there. Okay, so out of this tool, if you take a sample space of 100 clients, 50 clients directly use Blue Prism, and rest 50 out of around 30 use Automation Anywhere, 10 use UiPath, and another 5 use WorkFusion, and some use Tosca.
Okay.
So that's the ratio, and you don't have to ask me this question. You just have to go to naukri.com and search with these different tool. You yourself will see that there is basically not much job for this UiPath, but anyway, going forward there will be job. Obviously, these are new tool only. And what is the another advantage of Blue Prism? Blue Prism, it's not a new tool. You might not maybe like seeing this first time, but Blue Prism is there for more than 10 years. Okay. But previously this RPA was not that much boomed that time. Even for like 1 year back, there was nothing there. Even I'm telling you, there is nothing there. There is no project as well. We're just doing POCs for different clients and showing that this much can be automated. That's it. And client are not very okay. They said, okay, I don't know, not sure what is the success rate and all. But now at it is client to understand, see, I can save like millions in this if I just do all this automating, all this manual work. So every company, bank, all the banks, basically all banks, telecom, healthcare, these are the three sectors are most hit on this RPA. Like after a couple of years, I hope you guys know production support and all. So 50% of the production support job will be just removed because those processes will be automated. So if you, in any project, whatever you have worked, if you see in production support, there is a lot of manual work, like daily production ticket. Those are repetitive ticket. The existing issues will be coming every day. If we can automate that, like we can make a robot which will read the like we read the mail what users are saying, and then you'll do whatever the actions required, either changing the order and all. It is a huge benefit there. Okay. So it's better to learn RPA currently because now even in so as the days goes by, it will be difficult because obviously after 5 years, a lot of people will be there, so competition will be huge, right? But anyway, RPA will be there. The robots, whatever you are creating, those will be there. It will be like it need to be enhanced every time, right? If you are changing on your application itself, then robot cannot detect the new application until you like again do the configuration, right? And it's a 90% configuration tool. There is no coding required whatsoever. It's fully logical. Sometimes some custom objects, creating some custom objects, you need to do a coding, but that's very rare. I mean, in a like in 2 years span, if I tell 1 or 2 times, and then also I'll tell you where you can get all this code bank and all, but better we don't prefer it to do. Okay. And there is a difference between a normal project and a robotic project. Robotic project doesn't mean whatever clients will say yes, absolutely no. Robotic process, there is a lot of unsuccess ratio is there. That means if client come up with a proposal, we cannot guarantee that we will be able to automate it or not. So first day itself, when you get the proposal, first need to decide if it is possible to do full implementation or not. If not, we have to say client this much, this can be done, this cannot be done. But other project, if you compare, it's not like that. They generally say yes, but here it is, there is no way. If client want to like what a human doing, like human thinking, that we cannot do it currently, right? So that all those, but obviously client doesn't know all these things, so those situation will come, you have to say no. Right now, coming to the what are the roles, what are the peoples are there. So I'll just tell you what are the roles there in RPA. First one is RPA architect. Okay. Second one is RPA developer. That is me. I'm also a developer. Third one is RPA infra. Okay. The fourth one is RPA BA. Okay. So these are the 4 roles are there. We don't have any testing role. Now, what is the reason? Generally, the clients I have worked, they don't have, but some of the clients do have a specific testing team, but majority of the clients don't have. Okay, but those work will be done by this BA. See, here we are not, most of the cases we will be not, will not be automating a application always. We will be automating a process. This process could be Excel sheet as well. So there is nothing to test in Excel sheet, right? So one robot, if I give an example, the example I just gave few minutes back, like copying all the data from 300 Excel sheet and copy it in a single Excel sheet and send a mail. So we are not going to test how Excel works, right? So yes, so we don't need testing team as such, but obviously the business analysts need to check the process is going correctly or not. So that's why majority of the client prefer to have BAs. Okay. So these are the 4 roles. So what is the architect role? So architect, basically when the proposal come, they first see if it is possible or not. For if it is possible, then he create a high level design document, like what are the, like how we'll proceed, what is our plan, what is the estimate on all those, done by this architect, and developers used to help them. And same for my project as well. Next come developers. So developers basically do the configuration and all whatever is required for doing it. And that's the majority of the job, like 80% of the job will be developer job. Okay. Now next part is RPA infra. Now infra job, to explain what is RPA infra does, I'll give you a simple example. So in order to, so as I told you that Amazon's production support person, so that guy need a system, right? In that system only he will open this order management system, open this SQL SQL developer and all. He'll open, go to that system, run SQL query and all, right? So robot also need those systems. So if I come here, you see there is, you will see only one system is connected there, but in a real time there will be multiple systems connected there, right? So robots will be running in all those systems untouched, but this system no other user use. These are only used by these processes or by the bots only. Okay, so here is a place where we can configure all these, how many processes are there, what time it should run, so you can schedule this. So all this scheduling, all those things done by infra team. And next one is and the next one is this release management also. Like obviously you guys know R1 release, R2 release. So each release, all this like to moving the code one environment to another to production, all these things done by infra team. And maintaining this system, all these logs and all, like to create a global variable and all those developer need to create. Then developer request for a push. Push means to move the code from another dev to, like say, UAT environment. Now coming to the business analyst. So business analyst in other projects, what they do, they create the requirement document and coordinate with developers and testers and all. So here they have more responsibility here. So they have to do that task as well, and they need to verify that process is working correctly or not. Okay. Also they need to detect what are the processes they can be automated. So they need to detect that, and then they need to give the proposal to the architect. So what happens? A BA business analyst see what is their business processes. So one of the example I'll give. See, that guy took the pin code of that place and he placed a code. Code means just a proposal. He's giving a proposal. Okay, this will be your total order cost and all. Everything details will be done, and they send a mail to the client customer. Now after that, if the customer made the payment and confirm it, then that code will be converted to an order. Okay, so this is a manual process, right? This doesn't need anything. But if a person need to place the order in the system, let's say they are using a Siebel order management system or a Salesforce. So someone need to go to in every telecom company, like placing an order, there are certain rules. Like first need to check what are the lines available on that particular address. what are the products can be sold on that particular address, right? So there are different application will be there, so they need to log in there and they need to check, verify, and based on that they need to place the quote and all, and then send a trigger a mail to the customer, right? So this thing can be automated. So let's say Orange every day, so these 10K quotes done by some sales employees, right? So these things can be automated. We can just send fill it in an Excel sheet and send it to mail to a particular mail ID. Now robot will read the mail from that mail ID and process it, then again send a mail to the customer without any human intervention, right?
Okay.
So what are the processes that need to be automated, those, and what are the like the process document, like what are the things need to be automated and what are the details on this process, all done by these BAs. Okay. Sometimes if you are working in a service-based company, so they put another guy to see, just like someone from possibly from functional background, to give the proposal to the customer directly. See, these are the processes can be automated. Okay, so majority of the customer as of now looking into their production support activities. There are a lot of production support activities, manual data fixing and all those things they are mainly looking into, and majority of my work I did that only, like the daily their like maintenance work, right? Majority of the tickets are basically just SQL data fix, that's it, nothing more than that. So those things where majority of the clients are looking into. And some of the banking clients are looking into this. I told you one example, like to approving loan or not. Maybe healthcare, I have never worked, so I don't know much details on healthcare. So definitely some healthcare clients are also looking into on their like these regular processes as well. Okay, so this is what the like introduction for RPA. You guys have any question on introduction?
No, good. Good.
Okay. And Rajesh, you are also good? Rajesh, you are there, right?
Yes, just give me a second. Yeah, I have a few questions. So
Yes.
this is an automation tool for which doesn't require most of the coding part, right? So can you give an example how this can be automated without coding?
Yeah. That I'll show you just now. That I'll give you an example. Yes, I'll give you an example. Just ask any, if you have any other process-based question, then I'll show you this example.
Okay, so
If top of that configure the Blue Prism, if I just go into this SQL server, you'll understand what are the tables it is creating. See, this many tables the Blue Prism created. So here all the configuration files they store, right? Maybe in the we don't, as a developer, we don't use all this. But as a like infra guys used to maintain all this. If there's some error came and some need to be fixed and all, they need to move the tables from one environment to another. So that infra does. But these are the tables where we store all our configuration details. Okay, so there is management like R1, R2 release. For each release, we'll create new packages and all. So that's also done by here. Next was the system. Here we like have the license details and all. If you want to create environment variables and all, everything logs, process log, object logs, everything will be, you will see it here. Okay. And yeah, so let's come to this process and object. So first I'll give you an example in a very layman term, what is a process and what is an object. So process, I explained you one process for Amazon, right? So the entire thing will be a process. Now we divide this process into small part, and each part either it could be a small process again or could be object. So let's say in a process we will be using 4 different applications. Let's say one Siebel application, one SAP application, one Salesforce application. So all these three, for these three we need to create 3 different business object. Okay, so then what we'll do in the process, we'll call all those things objects, and if we create a small processes as well, then we'll call it there. So I'll give you an example of a basic example. Let's create one. I'm creating one business object. Okay, let's give demo. Okay, just keep it blank. Okay, so this is your object studio. Okay, so you'll see a lot of things here. These are basically different stages. So these are basically inbuilt functionality what Blue Prism provided to automate our processes. Okay, or any object, whatever you say. Okay, so forget about all those things. I'll give you a very basic example. Now, in order to add two number, what you'll do in any programming language, you'll declare two variable. Let's say variable A, variable B. We'll assign the data type, and then you will declare another variable, variable C. Then there you'll write something C equal to A plus B. Right. So let's do that example first. So we don't have any variable. We have variable concept here, but that variable here we'll call it as a data item. So what is a data item? Data item basically a placeholder where it contains some data, right? So if I just so what I did, I just drag and drop this data item here. If I double click on it, it is asking for the name. So we'll give the name as variable 1, and we have to give a data type. Let's give the data type as number. It is asking for an initial value. Let's give an initial value of 100. Just forget about all those things for the time being. Now again, I'll drag and drop one more data item, which is variable 2. Data type will be number. Initial value will be 200. Let's just for example, I am giving. Then another data item will 2, which will be the final data. I will store our result. So the data type will be number as well. So here we are not mentioning any initial value. Why? Because it will be generated from by Blue Prism and stored the after, like the data should be 300 if you are adding this 100 at 200, right? I'm not giving an initial value. Now from all these things, from the name itself, you can understand, like to do a plus calculation, what we'll do, we'll drag and drop this calculation, and here we need to calculate. We need to give an expression like to add these two variable 1 and variable 2. Basically these are data items. So these two data items we are adding and storing it in final data. So that logic, how we will do, just drag and drop this thing in here. Then we'll just write plus, then again drag and drop this variable 2, and where we are storing it, see, it's already giving store result in this final data. I'm just again dragging and dropping it here, clicking on OK. Now doing this will not do our purpose. So I need to tell the bot like where to start, where to end. So I need to link this as well. I'm just linking it. Now if I just run it, let's see what happens. I'm running it. See, the final data got 300. Now if I open the final data, see the current value, it is showing 300. So this is a basic example. Now if you do some complex example as well, now what I'll do, in the variable 2, I'll give it as 0. Now if I divide any number by 0, it should show an error. Now see how we'll handle error here. So my variable 2 initial value is 0. So what I'll do, instead of plus, we'll divide it. Now if I just do a divide and click on OK, now if I just run it, it will show an error. See, it is showing an error that cannot be division by 0. Now how we will handle an error? Like for that we have something called a recovery. So recovery, what is recovery? Recovery is something called a hospital. So if some accident happens, everyone go to a hospital. So in hospital, what happens? Doctor, like that person will be treated, and that when the person feels well, he goes home. So here I'm just linking to this recovery to resume. For the time being, understand it is a hospital. So what happens? Here robot start here. It comes here. It saw an error. It goes to the hospital. It's treated there, and then it goes to end. I mean, it goes to home. Now if I now just run it, see what happens. See, after calculation, it comes to this recovery, then resume, then end. So resume. So now if I'm interested to catch that error and like to store that error in some place, what we'll do, we'll again, so in order to store something, we'll always use this data item, right? So here I just double click on it. give the error name details as error name. Okay, we'll give the data type as text because the error will be a text only. Okay, and just click on OK. So now how we will get this error? We'll use a calculation stage. In calculation stage, we need to give the how to get that. So some function inbuilt functions are there. So there is a function called this exception details. What we'll do again, we'll drag and drop it here. Then we'll use a ampersand to just add it with a string. We'll write something. Okay. Then also we want a data stamp also here. So we'll use a function called now function. Again, I'm dragging, dropping it here. So now I need to store this entire error somewhere. I will store. We'll store it in this error name. Again, I'm dragging and dropping it here, clicking on OK. Now what happened? Robot start here, failed here, come to the hospital, come to this calculation, then store the data into this data item, the error details into the data item, then goes to resume and then goes to end. If I link it here, let's see what happens. It went to recovery. I think I gave something wrong here. Yes, I forgot to give one more ampersand there. That's why that error happened, because it's a string, it's a text, and this is a function. I'll run it one more time. See, now it's going to end. Now if I open, see, the entire error is collected here. Now after getting this error, we can do a lot of things, right? So this is how exception handling we do in Blue Prism. Okay. Now this is a basic example. Now you can ask me, like you gave an example of very like something on Amazon, which is very difficult, right? Of course, that will need a lot of configuration and that will not be easy. But I can show you one example which I already created. So what I have one sample application. The application name is this application given by Blue Prism only for practice. So what happens if I log in into that application? If I log in there, it open up this page, then I click on find. I give the first name, anything there, and try to find. See, lot of details will show there. Okay, so let's try to automate this. Okay, let's see if I have something there. Okay. Okay, now you see a lot of complex stuff here. See, a lot of things you will see here. So this is how a normal process looks like. Okay. Now let's see what happens. So how I build the logic? First I need to check this application is running and not. And after that, I'll kill the process, then again launch it again. If the application is not launched, then we'll try to launch it for the first time. If I run this thing, see my application already running, so it should automatically get killed and the new session should open. I'm running it. Let's see what happens. It's closed it. It's creating again. It's logging in automatically. Clicking on find, giving input to this first name, searching on find. Now here what is happening? Yes, it is collecting all the data, whatever it got here. It is collecting all the data there and writing in a like, let's say for a collection, it is collecting all the data. See, it is going into a loop and collecting all the data one by one. So that's how this automation done in Blue Prism. I hope now you guys should be clear.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. There are a lot of concepts there. It's basically configuration, like 90%, 95% configuration. There is nothing to code over here. There is no recording there. There is no recording. You will record and generate a script and then we'll edit the script, nothing there. But yes, some custom code you can use, but that used very rarely. There is yes, there is a stage called code. So here you can write C# code or like if you want, but then you need to do maximum of the 90% of the time it will be configuration only. And obviously it's not so easy. You need to like build it in a very robust way, right? What happen if the application is down? You need to write the logic for that as well. because this the robot will be running untouched, like no human will be seeing that. So it need to be prepared for all the scenarios, like what happens if the system is down, then we need to create a reporting system that a mail will be triggered, right? All those configuration you need to do. And what if like we want a customized error, then we'll use something called this block and all, right? So that after in the training we can explain one by one. These loops are there, how collection, most of the things it will be like that only. Like majority of the time it will be automating a civil application or a, let's say, Salesforce or a maybe like, or Salesforce civil majority are there, but SAP application, yes, SAP is there. So this application is somehow looks like a SAP application. It's a Windows application, but it somehow looks like a SAP. So obviously SAP application will be huge. So basically let's say placing code. So the steps, let's say there are 50 steps are there. So one by one, you have to spy this element, all this element. Then we need to configure in that way. We need to give like, we need to give it, let's say condition like this. Let's say if the window opens, then only check for if it exists. I mean, if this window occurs, then only proceed for the next step. If it doesn't occur, wait for 5 to 10 seconds, then go to then throw an error. Then collect that error, and with that error we can do a lot of things, right? We can send a mail, we can write it in a notepad, everything we want. So that's it, guys. You guys have any question?
We can save it this flow chart, or again and again new.
I didn't got your question. Save it means what you were saying?
Means this is your first time. How can we use again and again it? Like
Yes. So that we need to configure, right? For after create. So this is just a business object is there, right? So you need to configure it in. Basically, we need to create a process, and that process we need to call this business object, different business object. Okay. Then in control room we can configure that. We can schedule it, what time it need to be done, and what resources, like what system it will run. Everything we can configure there.
Okay.
Okay.
And every time we change the variable value, like 2 or 3 numbers there.
No. That's the difference between a test automation and here. Here we will not do anything. Everything need to be automated, and robot will run untouched. Like no one will touch there. Okay. It's like that, right? We need to give the logic in that way only. Like, so I hope you are asking like, what if I want to like create a code for the another account. So in automation testing, what we'll do, we'll use it as a variable, and we'll give it another account name. Just pass that account number, right? Here we will not do that. We need to configure in a way that that Blue Prism will go to the next account. There is no passing scenario. Okay.
You cannot stop in between when one process is going on.
But why will stop? It will be running it directly in production. Right, it's like, why you want to stop until there is not a problem? Why you want to do that?
Okay.
Only if bot fails, there is some issue in that particular system, bot is not running correctly, then only you will stop and like investigate what are the issues, right?
Right.
So here we are not checking application is working correctly or not. We are assuming applications are correct. Then we are using the application as a user directly in production. Got it?
Yes.
What happens? This is basically a SQL server. Okay, basically SQL server. On that SQL server, we are connecting through Blue Prism, and Blue Prism is storing all these configuration details into these different tables. Okay, there is no code repository as such. Like we are storing the code and then again uploading the next version and again next version. It's not like that. It will be directly reflecting in the table itself, and there is no code concept.
How much SQL is required for this?
See, in a application development, it's like something you are building. Here we are not building anything. You are not like, there's no, it's not like a build. It's like a process automation. Say process so process not always will interact with the application. The Excel example I gave you. So that is a process, right? So that process we are automating. It's not a build. It's not an application itself. No user will be using it. Whatever we do, it's run in the backend. No one knows about it. It's like it's not an application as such. If you're creating a Java application, some user will be using, right? Here it's not like that. Here basically we create a virtual user to use that Java application. So Rajesh, you have any question?
No, I'm clear.
Whatever I have, we can go through those PPTs, but this training will not open any PPT and will give some theory class and all. There's nothing there. All will be real time in the tool itself.
Miss, after class, you will provide me all the notes and all.
Yes, I'll provide. Yes.
Okay. That's why after this class, we can read and prepare for the interview.
Yes. That I'll provide, but I don't like this PPT based training, so that's why I don't do all those things.
Okay, no, it's not good for this time because we have already experience in real time.
So like Shabnam, actually, if we want to read, we can read it from Google itself. We don't need any trainer to be trained with the PPTs or something. If you're a good learner, you can learn it from Google. The motive of this training is, especially the motive of this training is to give you a lot as we can in the practical purpose, not in a theoretical way.
Yes.
So we generally focusing on the practical purpose. That is what we focusing on this time. So by giving the notes from Mr. Venkat, you can go through the recording, whatever the things you have. You can go through that. You can read that. You have your own time to read that.
Yeah.
So the training completely focus on practical. Hope you got that.
An interview, it will be 100% on this scenario based. At least for you guys level, those are SSC and TL. Definitely question will be on scenarios. They will not ask like any theory question. And TL and above, it will be on estimates, like what are the estimate you will give, and when you say no to client, this kind of question you will get there. Like what are the which process? Give an example of process you said no, and all this.
Okay.
Okay. So RP architects are a lot of, like nowadays there is no RP architect. Most of the RP architects came from .NET background. They don't have much idea on RP because it's very new. So all our people are at most 1 to 2 years experience, not more than. You will not find many people. Even myself, I'm not finding. I've never met with a person who is more than 2 years experience in RP. At most 2 years. Maybe that guy experience in .NET in anywhere else, it is fine. But in RP, it's last 6 months, whatever started for last 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, before 6 months there is no vacancy for RPA related. Right now it's demand.
Yes, because I told you now, half of your like production support activity is going to be automated in next 1 to 2 years. Like those people are working in production support, their job are in great risk currently. 80% of them, 80% of that work is basically manual data fixing work. On a daily basis, what happens? Users send issues, and in IST time, you guys fix all this, and then send the mail, send the like issue list to the client that this many production issues we fix. So all these things will be going to be automated. And you might saw those lot of news nowadays. Lot of companies are removing lot of people. So companies cannot remove people just like that, right? They cannot remove 10,000 people. So those 10,000 people, whatever they're doing, that need to be automated first. Then only they can remove. So some bot need to be created first, which will do all these 10,000 people are doing. Then only they can leave these 10,000 people. So that's how it is. So this is that automation. That's why some jobs are risk. Some banking jobs are definitely in risk. Some people are in bank are there. They every day they just approve loan. The process. So we don't need a person for that, right? We can just we just create a bot there and we'll do all these things. Huge benefit for a like client perspective. If you see, huge benefits are there. All companies, basically any small, medium, large, all companies are looking into this now. And currently in market, there is not that much of resources are there. And I'm not sure like where you are working, but see, Blue Prism, in order to do the certification, you need to be a partner with Blue Prism. So that means that we are going to automate. So your manager or your architect is assigned to a particular developer. You will get a significant time to build all this. Let's say for login process, they will give one week time, 5 days. But you need to build it in a very robust way. Then what happens after 2 months of build? Let's say you give a 2 month estimate. After 2 months of build, it goes to goes to UAT environment. So UAT another 1 month, like those UAT guys, like business analysts, do a high level testing there, and they check all the processes are correct or not. Then it goes to a pre-prod. After pre-prod, it as per release schedule, it go to production. After production, there is a 1 month of cooling period is there. So that time, that developer who built this need to support as well, and you need to create. There are a lot of documents are there, board management document, PDD, lot of things are there that I'll explain in the training. What are the documents you need to create? What are the documents your architect going to create? What are the documents your BAs will give you? Okay, so based on that board management document, everything you need to create, and 1 month soak period will be there. So that 1 month, this lot of issues going to come. At least that like bots I have created, there are a lot of issues are coming nowadays. Okay, and so those issues also you need to solve, and after 1.5 months it will get stable, and then you don't have to do anything. Then again the new stuff. That way it works. So I mainly deal with telecom clients, mainly telecom processes I have automated as of now. I have not worked with any financial client or any healthcare. No.
Okay.
So guys, do you have any doubts?
Not right now.
So, okay.
And training will be for around 30 hours. Okay, around 30 hours training will be there. 30 session you can approximately, based on you guys also. So go move, and it will take 1.5 month almost.
One
And
and
it
a
will
half
be
month, and class will be daily or maybe.
not daily in the weekdays, but 4 days a week we have to plan. Like you guys need to practice for some time as well. Like I cannot go on one by one. It's as simple as looks. There will be a lot of problem will come. So maybe first 2 3 weeks will be bit. I need to go in little bit slow, and there will be 2 small projects we'll do. One is on Windows application, one is on web application, and there are other 2 stuff also we can automate. One is Citrix based automation, which I cannot show you here. No one can show because Citrix application I cannot show from a local machine. Another one is mainframe. Mainframe also we cannot do anything. I never accessed any mainframe. Not sure you guys ever did or not. Okay, but our logic remains same. Only the spying mechanism will change. How we'll spy it, right? But my process going to my mechanism is going to be same. Logic is going to be same.
Okay.
Are we good or anything else?
No, it was good. I think we continue for this.
Okay, Rajesh, you have any question?
No, I don't.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, guys. We'll get back to you soon for the updates.
Okay.
And thanks for your time to be here. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed the session.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
one and all, for